Hello, and welcome to Quick and Nerdy, an MSP-friendly channel dedicated to Veeam-powered solutions for BaaS and DRaaS offerings. As always, I'm your host, Brandon McCoy, Technical Advisor for North America, supporting our Veeam Cloud Service Provider community. And today, we are continuing on from the Cloud Connect video and diving into the Veeam Service Provider console. Now, if you haven't watched the Cloud Connect video yet, please stop and watch that first. Cloud Connect is a required component for the service provider console to work. And even though Cloud Connect is primarily used to offer offsite storage and resources for DR, it can also be used strictly for communication between your customer Veeam products and the service provider console itself. Which brings us into the pieces of the puzzle needed. So these are 4 services or products that are installed on Windows 64-bit operating systems, and they can all be installed on one machine, or you may want to put each one of these on its own Windows machine. Whether or not you want it on one machine or spread out is really about efficiency and security. If you're not leveraging Cloud Connect for ingesting backups and replicas and full site DR, putting all of these components on one machine is usually acceptable considering you have the right resources. Please refer to the sizing guides in the description for more information about CPU RAM requirements. The first component is your Cloud Connect server, and as we learned from the previous video, Cloud Connect is simply a license installed on a backup and replication server that unlocks certain MSP functionality. With that functionality is the ability to deploy a Veeam Cloud Gateway, one or multiple, which is the tunnel or connectivity between the service provider and the customer. So once these two things are in place, you deploy the service provider console, which is comprised of the server and a web UI. Now the web UI is a good reason for the security aspect of putting these things on separate machines. The web UI is something that a customer or reseller or your admins can use to log into the console over their favorite web browser. This is typically something that you would not want to pair up with the server so that it is not exposed directly to the internet. Now keep in mind that the web UI is an optional piece and you can always log into the console directly from the server itself. There are 3 main components here. There's the Veeam Cloud Connect server, there's the Veeam Cloud Gateway, and there is the Service Provider Console. So these 3 components are required, and again, those have additional pieces underneath them that we already explained. And in my lab that we're going to look at today, all of these are on one Windows machine. So what does the Service Provider Console do? Well, first and foremost, it is a single pane of glass for visibility into multiple Veeam products. It also gives centralized management of standalone agents, billing and reporting. So things like Veeam subscription plans to monitor consumption of Veeam services and generate an invoice each month, as well as customizable alarms and dashboards that can notify you of backup jobs, success failure, Veeam servers that are not connected, repository space, and many more. Now the billing and reporting actually integrate with our PSA and RMM partner ConnectWise. So for ConnectWise Manage, we can open and close tickets that are sent to service boards based on our alarms. And we can also map to existing ConnectWise part number prices and update ConnectWise invoices with various Veeam services. Finally, with Automate, we integrate our alarms with the internal ticketing system of Automate and can also push Veeam agents out from the Automate server as Veeam is a plugin inside of the ConnectWise Solution Center. Finally, what I think is one of the most important aspects of the console is integration with Pulse for license management. So if you're not a service provider yet, Pulse is an online platform where service providers log in, they can cut their license keys, edit them, revoke them, and in all cases, this is where they will report their usage to Veeam. Now, in most cases, reporting usage is something that is done manually. Although we are working towards auto reporting, each month you will need to go into Pulse and report your count. What the integration with the console does is allow you to cut all of your keys from the console and get a usage report each month that will be the exact number you need to report to Pulse, assuming all of your Veeam customers are added into the console. In terms of the actual products that work with the service provider console, of course, we need a Cloud Connect server. This can also monitor, Cloud Connect backup and replica. It connects to your Veeam backup and replication instances to get visibility into workloads, download logs. You're able to control, deploy, manage, and even do some basic file level restore for Veeam agents, specifically for Windows, and then also create policies for Linux and Mac. All of the licenses consumed are directly from the console, as we will discuss in another video. As far as cloud native and SaaS offerings, Veeam Backup for 365, so we saw version 6 integration with licensing. Now in version 7, and I assume beyond, we will also offer adding in an organization, creating and editing backup copy jobs, and even a shortcut link to the self-service portal for 365 restores. Veeam Backup for Azure, Veeam Backup for AWS, you can deploy the appliance, consume your rental licensing, and even control some of the workload flow directly from the console. More on public cloud and 365 in other videos. And then lastly is Veeam One. So right now, Veeam One is only integrated for license management, but in future releases, we will continue to innovate the features and functionalities in the console. So that's all for the slides. Let's jump in and take a quick look at the Getting Started page of the console. Here we are inside of the Veeam Service Provider console, and currently we are on version 7. When you first install the product, it is going to prompt you for a license key. You can use the free Service Provider console key that comes with your Pulse account to install the product and for monitoring, reporting, and billing. The only time that you need a paid key is if you are going to be deploying and managing standalone agents for Windows, Linux, and/or Mac. In that scenario, you'll cut one key for the total number of workstations and/or servers that you want to manage, and that one key will be a pool for all of the agents connected to the console. More on that in our licensing videos. For now, let's look at getting started. So on the top right, there's a configuration tab, and we're greeted with this to-do list. And when you first start, there will actually be a red to-do tab next to each one of these. So the first thing is installing an SSL certificate. Once again, you can have Veeam generate this, or you can use your own. That's what we prefer. You can use the same certificate as your Cloud Connect or generate a new one. There'll be one for both the server as well as the Web UI component of the console. Next, you'll want to add in your Cloud Connect server. You may actually have multiple Cloud Connect servers. We've tested, I believe, up to 50 of them. So I've never ran across an instance where a service provider needed more than one service provider console. If that were the case, keep in mind that while a customer can be connected to multiple Cloud Connects, they can only appear in one service provider console, and that is because of the management agent. So that's what we're going to install on the Cloud Connect server here is the management agent, and this server is the one I used in my last video. So I put in the DNS or IP address of that machine. I create a name for this Cloud Connect server. Maybe I have an Atlanta location and a Texas location. Next, I'm going to enter in credentials. So typically I use a local admin for both the connection account to talk to the Cloud Connect server, and then a service account to deploy and run the management agent on the Cloud Connect server, which will then make it connect to my service provider console. Once we've got that out of the way, the rest of this is branding your portal. So you can get rid of the service provider console with the little fidget spinner up here on the top left, put in your own company logo and name. You can change the color. You can create subscription plans, which we will dive into later. This is for specific Veeam services consumed, generating invoices. Maybe you have a gold, silver, platinum. We'll also talk about creating company profiles and reseller accounts. So resellers allow you to have MSPs white label your service provider console. And then, of course, for the companies, this is going to be a profile for your customers and each of the Veeam products that they're using. Integrations for the plugin library. This is going to be all of our third-party things for ConnectWise, Grafana Labs, also for your Pulse licensing, Veeam Backup for 365 and others. And then license management. So this is where you will configure your integration with Pulse. You're able to come in here and map companies between Consul and Pulse and even generate new license keys. And again, all of these things will be discussed in greater detail later. But in the essence of Quick and Nerdy, we're going to wrap up here. Once you've finished the Getting Started tab, you can then deploy agents. So the Windows, Linux, Mac agents, you can deploy those from the Service Provider Console. We'll talk about how to do that later. And you can create reports for RPOs and SLAs, as well as create all of your alarm notifications, making sure that you're getting alarms, and that if you want, your customers can get those alarms sent via email. And of course, we'll have the alarms in the Veeam dashboard as well. Well, that's it for this video on Service Provider Console Quick Start. I hope you found it valuable. Thank you for watching, and until next time, keep on Veeaming in the free world.